Rachel, thank you so much for being here tonight and for watching this video with us live. And I know we did have a couple of technical difficulties, but we're recording this right now. And I would love for you to just kind of share, anything that you would like to add. It's such a powerful video and a beautiful, you did a beautiful job recounting the lessons that you learned from your daughter Lexi. So just anything that you would want to add for anybody who would watch the video, a message from you, something that you would like to say.
Okay, great. Thank you. So, when thinking about doing this again and what I would say, what I would want my message to be now is the message is a lot like the relaunch of it. It's that, I'm continuing to walk a journey of healing. Grief isn't a couple stages and done. It is an ongoing forever process. And, that sharing Lexi's story or sharing anything about Lexi, honestly, is very healing to me. And also, I hope that it is helpful to anybody who would hear it. If you're in the midst of it, not only one of the biggest things for me has always been hope. Hope is what got me sober. Hope is what got me through this. So let this be hope that, if you're in the middle of it, that's how you can walk through the very heart of the moment of grief, or if you're walking through, with your child who has an addiction, or if you yourself as a parent have one, you can hear that. And then now, just knowing that, years later, I am still doing great. My son is still doing great. Every day that goes by, I feel like there's more healing that goes on and happens, whether I'm sharing a moment with somebody, or whether I'm sharing something about Lexi, or whether I'm just, doing whatever I'm doing, or having mom son dates with my son who's 17 and, by the way, still likes them, stuff like that. So there is hope. There is a way. You just keep walking through the journey. And if you're in the middle of the heart of it, or you haven't lost your child yet, or, a loved one to addiction or an overdose, that it's important to reach out for help. It's important to try, but also to remember that addiction is a personal journey. Recovery is a personal choice. There isn't nothing you can do. All the want in the world won't get that person sober. So all you can do is just walk that walk, and that walk requires support. It requires people who have been through it, people who can help. It requires support. And to this day, even the part of journey, this healing journey that I walk every day, is all about support and all about help. And so reach out if you need it. And I'm glad that if you got to see this, that you watched it. I hope that it helped. And I hope that it gave you hope and taught you some kind of action to take, because we need to take action, when we're going through something. So that's it.
You said something really powerful towards the end of the video. You were talking about how, I think you mentioned something about if you think that you're not more than 10 steps away,
right,
from somebody who has been impacted by addiction, you're wrong. And so could you just, say a little bit more about kind of what made you, say that in the video? What are your thoughts around that?
Well, what made me say that is that, a lot of times for me personally, I was an addict as a mother, and I hid it, before a mother, I was an addict. I hid it from my family, but my father battled addiction. My other family members battle with it. When Lexi was going through it, I wasn't even able to see all of that with her. I wasn't even able to, there was such denial about it. Or I feel like, you write off a lot of the things you see in your children, because the thought of what really could be going on, one, is too overwhelming, and two, is too big to actually see. And I was an addict, so I should see that more so, I would think. But but also, through this journey, I've met people who have entirely different stories. They had a great home life. They had plenty of resources, and they did not see it. They didn't think it would touch their child, and they didn't see it when it did, because they didn't think it would touch them. I hoped it wouldn't touch her. I lived in denial. I didn't see it. Someone else thought it couldn't touch them, and they didn't see it. So the deal is that it is all around us. And, essentially, not just addictions, but coping skills that are not healthy. Whether you're battling a mental illness like Lexi was originally and used coping skills, and then it turned into drugs to do it. Either way, the number of people that I meet, the places that I go, helping in this county, like, I see it everywhere. It doesn't matter what environment it's in. It just is touching someone everywhere. And that's kind of the point. Secrets, we say as addicts, secrets keep us sick. Well, I say secrets in a community keep us sick. So, I mean, recognition.
That actually, you saying that kind of leads me into something that I was thinking about as you were talking, was mentioning this county and specifically, but also just speaking around like what's still present
Right.
where we live, because we're all kind of coming out of this COVID fog and the pandemic and the things that were tied to that. It overshadowed, I think, the fact that we're not out of this
Right.
opioid epidemic or substance misuse abuse epidemic.
Right.
Would you say that what your experience is? I know that you still have a connection in this community and that you are always trying to help people. Can you just speak about kind of what you think is still happening and what people should be aware of is still happening now, today, in like 2022?
So the deal is that it's still, addiction is still super prevalent in this community. Heroin is still a problem, meth is a problem, multiple different drugs are problems. It isn't that there is less use and abuse and misuse going on. It is that there is less community involvement going on. So we aren't, stay home or don't go here or don't go there. It's okay to stay home and hide now. So if people with addiction stayed home and hid prior to this, that was a dead giveaway, something was going on. So you had to force yourself to get out and do stuff. Well, you don't have to force yourself to get out and do stuff anymore. So it's still there. It's just lying in secret. It's just lying quietly because there's so many other things that are overshadowing it. There's fear everywhere about our future, what's going on, COVID, all these things. So we don't see it, but addicts are still addicts. They still got to use, they're still using, they're still out there. I'm still getting calls. There's still people overdosing. Like, these things are still happening. And they're happening more because if community members who are stable and doing all right, if this whole, last 2 years has disrupted their life and emotionally, made it tough on them, imagine what it does to somebody who's emotionally stunted to begin with and can't process emotions, period. It just causes them to hide and do more. So it isn't less because we don't see it. We just see it less.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for talking about that. And then just one final question for anybody watching this video who is hearing you speak and who watched Lexi's story, the healing journey story. What would you say to somebody who's maybe a parent or even just, struggling with any loved one who just doesn't know where to start? Like, what would you say? Where do you start to have that conversation if you are worried that someone that you love is maybe starting to use or in the depths of using and abusing a substance?
I say you start with a resource outside of your home and outside of yourself. You find some other outlet. I mean, obviously I highly recommend, Casa Trinity and Telekinesis. If I recommend them because that's how I got through things, and their help was great. But you reach out outside of, because truth is, loving an addict or being a parent to an addict doesn't look anything like love, and it doesn't feel anything like being a parent. And that's impossible to do by yourself. And it requires support. It requires knowledge outside of what you already know. And I would absolutely say start there. Reach out, do something. Do not try to do it alone. And yes, have a conversation. I mean, at some point you'll have a conversation with the loved one, but at first you have to know, we have to know as parents what there is out there, what the signs to look for, what to say, how to do it, and that way you don't have to do it alone. So that's what I would say.
Okay. Thank you so much. I so appreciate you being here and coming in person into the office to have this conversation, being so brave to share your story, to share Lexi's story. And I know that the purpose and intentions behind it is hopefully that this event, the story, the video, and this conversation, if it even helps one person to have a conversation, reach out for help, get help, seek support in some way, that in that way, Lexi's memory lives on.
Right.
So thank you.
Thank you.